Hello guys and welcome to Almost Solitaire. Today we are playing the fourth and last scenario from this game from Taktyka Strategia um, called Kalisz 1706. So this is actually the Battle of Kalisz we will look at today. It was fought in late October 1706. If you have followed my channel, you have seen me play through Poniec, Tilevice, and Wyszova or Fraustadt previously. And as you can see, we're in the same year as Fraustadt right now. 1706, late October, as said, so we are in the fall. The Fraustadt battle took place more in the winter, early 1706, if you remember. Now, the thing is that things has not gone too well for the Russian and Saxon plans. If you remember what I talked about in Fraustadt, they had this big plan, to crush the Swedish main army between the Russians and the Saxons. That failed because of the big disaster at Fraustadt, where what's called Reinhold is the name of the Swedish general at that point. I think he was actually appointed field marshal after that battle because of that success. Reinhold did a big victory there. The Swedes claimed that it was a canaille of the Swedes and Saxons. It wasn't really that bad, but almost actually. So things were not looking too bad for August. King August II of Polish. He's a Saxon guy, and also an elector of Saxon, I think, and also the king of Poland. But he, after Fraustadt, they still carried on the war, but it was quite fruitless. Anyway, the Swedes have big problems as well. Poland and actually the Commonwealth, Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, is a big area. The Swedes couldn't really control it all the time, right? All the places. It was dangerous to garrison all the things and spread out too thin, and you could be attacked here and there because you have the Saxons against you, you have the Russians against you, and you also have a lot of Polish and Lithuanians against you. Polish and Lithuania were pretty much divided here between those who were on the Swedish side and those who were on their kind of rightful king's side, August the Strong. So the problems for the Swedes were that, well, they took control of some city or region. All right, that's good. Then they move out because there's trouble somewhere else. And as soon as they leave one area, the Saxons or Russians or the Polish take control of that. So it was just, nothing really happening. And also, Charles XII wanted to, that guy there, he wanted to instill a puppet king in Poland, Leszczynski, which he did later, but so that's also a thing. So the Commonwealth were pretty much in a, you could say in a state of a civil war. Those who were pro Leszczynski, which we'll see a few here in the battle, and those who were against, we'll also see in this battle. Anyway, so King Charles XII, he needed to do something to overthrow Augustus. So he came up with a kind of a drastic plan. Since he couldn't really win in Poland, there have been years. I think he has been campaigning now for 4 years, right? They entered here in 1702 when we had that big Battle of Kalisz happening. Also a great Swedish victory. But they've just been campaigning for 4 years, and moving back and forth, as I said. without having the chance to control the whole country. So he needed to knock out Augustus in some way. So he created this drastic plan to actually march westwards and into Saxony itself, which was the homeland of Augustus. So he did that. Augustus himself was in Poland at the point of time. They, of course, got the news of it and got really, well, it was a disaster. He got really scared of what the Swedes could do there. He was afraid of that they were, pretty much pillage and burn down the whole of Saxony until he gave up. So he started to negotiate with Charles XII to hear on what terms they could come to an agreement of ceasefire or a peace, really. At the same time, well, he involved himself in a pretty difficult diplomatic game here, because at the same time when he had discussions with Charles XII, he had discussions with the Russians, with Tsar Peter, to ask him about more military help and more money for the cause. So he was playing double here. And when the thing was, when Charles marched westwards to Saxony, as I said, he of course had to leave behind some troops in Poland to, keep control of things. And the man who were in charge of the Swedish forces in Poland is this guy, Arvid Axel Mardefeld, who is depicted here, and he's involved in this battle that we will see. So at the same time, when, as I said, when the negotiations were going, the Polish who were against the Swedes and also the Russians were, trying to get Augustus to do some aggressive attacks. They wanted to attack the kind of weak army left in Poland now. Augustus, of course, had problems. He wanted to keep, good terms with Charles now, because he wanted to get the peace negotiations going. So it was a difficult thing for him. But he, of course, didn't want to reveal his plans of where he was speaking with the Swedes. So he needed to kind of act like he was still aggressive against the Swedes, right? So he did actually move towards the Swedes. He joined up with a big Russian cavalry army led by Menshikov, seen here in the battle as well. This is now in 1706, so they were moving together, and when Mardefeld heard that there was a combined army moving against him, he tried to start to move. He was too weak, really, to have a battle with these guys. So he started to retreat toward Poznan, which had pretty strong walls, so he could, get in there and be. He could survive a siege there. He thought, I believe, until he got relieved. So that was his plan. So they start moving. Problem was, though, the Saxons, Polish, and the Russians, they sent troops around the Swedes and cut off his retreat path. So Mardefeld now had a big problem. So he started to instead move towards Kalisz. We see a part of the city, if you can see here on the map. I think, let me see now. I think east would be that. There's no compass rose on this battle map, actually. I believe this is the eastern edge. Here's west and north. As he was moving east toward Poznan, there were cavalry units coming in behind him, blocking him from moving his army in that direction. He went to Kalisz, and the joint forces of the Russians and Saxons and Polish were moving against him. Kalisz itself was not that big of a city. It held about 1,500 inhabitants. And the defenses were really weak. There were walls, but not too strong, and they were old. So Mardefeld believed he couldn't, retreat into the city and survive a siege there. It simply couldn't be done. So the only option he had was to array for battle. Now, a very interesting thing in this story about this battle is that both Mardefeld and August didn't really want this battle to happen, right? August wanted to, another important thing that I need to mention here is one more month before this, in September 1706, they have come to an agreement with the Swedes and the Saxons, where Augustus would actually, what is called? Can you say dethrone yourself? You know what I mean. He would cancel all his royal duties in Poland, and he would also promise to not engage anymore with the Russians. So Charles had asked pretty much him to withdraw from the war completely, and Leszczynski would be the king of Poland and not Augustus anymore. And Augustus actually agreed to those terms. So desperate he was because of the Swedes in Saxony. So the deal were made in Altenstadt in September. As the battle was kind of already setting up, Augustus got this, the message that, okay, there has been an agreement now with the Swedes. We should not wage war anymore against the Swedes, right? So he got this message of the Treaty of Altenstadt while he was on the field and ready to, attack the Swedes. Now, Menshikov and the Poles were really eager to attack the Swedes. Augustus did what he could to, try to slow down things and, we don't need to attack that fast. Let's think about it. Is this really a good place to attack? All that. He tried to prevent this battle from happening in all his power, I believe. On the other hand, he had to pretend that he was still in the war because he didn't tell of these Altenstadt negotiations or the treaty that they already signed to anybody of his allies. That was so he was really playing a tough game here. I think he didn't sleep much these nights, right? He was kind of in a panic. Anyway, the other guys wanted to battle. August had also sent a message to Mardefeld a few days before the battle saying, hey, we have come to an agreement in Altenstadt. I will withdraw. I will not be the king of Poland anymore and all that. So please, can you leave the battlefield or the place, and we will not have a battle because we will not attack you. Mardefeld was suspicious. He didn't believe, he hadn't heard anything about this Treaty of Altenstadt. So he just said, no, you tried to trick me. No way I'm gonna just get away from here and get attacked when I am in a column, So he didn't believe that. And now, I'm not sure I remember correctly, but it might be that on the very day of the battle, Mardefeld got word from his from the Swedish side of the Treaty of Altenstadt. So he actually got a confirmation from his own side that there was a treaty signed, but but it was kind of too late. The battle was already coming. The Russians and the Polish were really aggressive, and I'm not sure if the Saxon troops even knew it about the treaty either. So it was pretty much was only Augustus and maybe some more of the higher command. I don't know. So the battle took place. They couldn't prevent it, even though both main commanders didn't want it. That's pretty much crazy. So, how about the troops then? Well, we have, as I said here on the, let's call it the Allied side here, we have, well, you could say that the high command is August II. Even though we have Menshikov, who is really the commander of the Russian forces here. But we have about 6,000 Saxon troops. They are located here. So we have a first line of, heavy cavalry and some artillery, and the second battle line led by Brandt here, or maybe he's leading the whole wing here more or less, with some Saxon dragoons. So yeah, 6,000 men approximately. Then we have some 8,000 Russians led by Menshikov, as said, only dragoons and some artillery. No foot units here either, so really, yeah, only horse basically. Then we have some, I think some 10,000 Polish troops on the flanks, lighter types of troops, led by, let me see now, I apologize in beforehand of my pronunciations here. Siniavsky, we have here on the left-hand flank, and the right-hand flank we have a guy called Shrevsky, something like that, sorry again. So light Polish troops on the flanks and some heavier guys in the center. And note, we don't have any foot units here in this array, only cavalry. Also, they had some Polish guys hidden behind the woods here, from view from the Swedish side, ready to hit the flank of the Swedes if they would press forward. There's also another 10,000 men on the eastern part of the river, where we have pretty much Kalmucks and Cossacks. They are just here to prevent Swedes from crossing the river in retreat, so they are ready to attack any Swedes that try to cross the river here. Then we have the Swedish side. So, as I said, the overall leader is Mardefelt. The total amount of Swedes, the total amount of allies here are kind of, I think it's, if we total up what we said, we have also with these guys included, we have 34,000 men approximately, quite a big army. And on the Swedish side, we have a total of maybe 14,000 or something like that. So it's even more than 2 to 1 in odds here in manpower. And proper Swedes under Mardefeld, it's only maybe 4,500 men or something like that. They are a mix of cavalry and infantry units, mostly German units. We have some odd guys here like this. Funk's battalion, which is a Swiss battalion. We also have, here we go, his name is Kruger, and it's actually French Grenadiers we have here. Then on the flanks we have a few leaders actually. We have Mardefeld, we have Müller, we have Horn, we have Marschalk. Then on the flanks we have about 9,000 light Polish troops, actually Polish and Lithuanian, and Potocki is leading the right-hand flank here. and we have Sapieha leading the left flank. But as you can see, if you compare the Polish troops, it's much fewer on the Swedish side here, as it should be. Actually, also the Swedes had some companies back in Kalisz protecting that in case someone would attack it. The Polish also have a wagon camp over here. There's no troops there, but there are of course people inside, not only military units. We also have family members of the Polish noblemen and all that over there. So, and there was actually some fighting in the end there as well. So for the battle itself, when it started in the late afternoon, even though the Swedes were less than 1 against 2 of these guys, they have this aggressive doctrine, you know. So maybe I heard about the go-po doctrine. They just, you know, you're gonna go in with steel against your enemy. So these guys, the Swedish center started to advance pretty much immediately against these guys. They clashed with the Russians and the Saxons, starting to push them forward, but it was a thick line, and as you can see, we have a second line of Saxons, and we have just a big bunch of Russians here. Actually, you could also even say that it's 3 lines of cavalry here. So even though they pushed through in the first stages, and they got hit by artillery and all that, but then came the counterattacks. So it bogged down to a big fighting here in the center, and eventually the Swedes were actually started to be pushed back. On the flanks, the Polish troops engaged each other, and also these guys moved along that edge of the forest and attacked the Swedes or the Polish in the flank, I would say, and they started to flee. So both flanks really had the same fate. The Swedish flanks got crushed. The Poles retreated back to their wagon lager here, and the Swedes in the center had no flanks anymore. The Russians and Saxons could, you know, move troops around to completely, in the end, surround the Swedish force here. I think some 1,000 cavalry with one of the officers here managed to break out and got back to, I think they reached Poznan eventually, if I remember correctly. But most of them got bogged down here, and in the end they had to give up because they were, you know, get fired upon at close range also with artillery. Later on, the Russians brought up their artillery here and started to bombard these wagons. It was kind of a fortified wagon lager. They had, you know, chains between the wagons and all that. But all in all, this was a disaster for the Swedish side. They got surrounded. Eventually, they had to give up. And I think actually Mardefeld was one of those who had to give up. And also, I think 4 of the 5 colonels being here had to give up on the Swedish side. Disaster. And of course, some of the Polish and Swedes tried to go over the river and flee, but they were attacked by the Cossacks and Kalmucks here, most of them. Some of them got away, but many got hacked down by the light cavalry over there. Now, for an aftermath then, still Augustus had this Treaty of Altenstadt hanging above him, right? So he had to, you know, to conform to that, what was said in that document. So later on, he actually, the thing was that he had promised the Russians to exchange Mardefeld and other prisoners to Russian prisoners that the Swedes held, but he didn't do that. He just let these guys go eventually, if I remember correctly, because yeah, he wanted to show the Swedes that he was honoring the treaty and was withdrawing from the war, and he did that later on actually. And as a side note, after Poltava, the big disaster for the Swedes that really kind of changed the course of this war against the Swedes, Augustus was boldened to come back and became king of Poland again. He said that he didn't remember that he had resigned from the throne, so he came back later on. Yeah, basically that's it, I believe. But so some notes about the game and the terrain. We have some high ground here. We have the Allied forces in the high ground. So the Swedes are also attacking upwards, which is a bit of a problem. You can see the turn track here. We have 20 turns for some reason on the turn track, but the scenario note says you only play from turn 11 to 20. I don't know why these turns are here. There's no note about morale tracks, that it would be in any special place. We just keep it in the 0 track. Just a quick recap what this is. So for each unit that the side lose, at the end of the turn, we're going to move these in any direction. Let's say we have lost 3 Saxon troops, when we would move it into 3 into the Swedish side, and that's when it reach a number here. That's a bonus in the column shift that side will get when they attack. So if the morale track would be here, every time the Swedes attack, they will get a morale shift in their favor because we have the track on the 1. So that's the purpose of this track over here. We have these scattered units thing here. We have some combat results that may put troops over here, and well, often they will come back, but if this track gets full, excess units are eliminated instead of ending up here. That's it. And for some battle plans, I will try to recreate history somewhat here. I'm going to be aggressive with the Swedes going up. I will just organize these guys for a good defense at the edge of the hill here, and then we'll see what happens. If the Swedes attack stalls here and we can do a counterattack, that's cool, then we're gonna recreate history. If the Swedes fare really well and they push through, who knows what will happen. Maybe we'll see a Swedish victory instead. So it's gonna be really cool and to see how this plays out. So I hope you will be with me for this game. We're gonna play 10 turns of at the maximum. Maybe we give up before, as we did in Fraustadt, you remember. This system is really casualty heavy. There's no real army morale when you have taken maybe 50% casualties, your army routes. These guys fight to the last drop of blood if needed. They never rout. So yeah, so we'll see. Probably gonna be a bloody history this as well, but we'll see how it goes. So I hope you will be with me, and we'll start the game right now. Okay, so I forgot to mention that these guys cannot move until they get attacked. So they cannot fall into the back of the Swedes here. But if any Swedes would move over this river, and these guys can defend themselves pretty much. Remember also these what is called marsh or hexes here. They are pretty much prohibited. So I think it's actually I'm not sure about infantry, but at least cavalry units who ends up here are eliminated. So you don't want to have your back against these guys and get attacked. So that's something that would prompt us to move forward with these guys. By the way, the Swedes have the initiative in these battles. They will always do their actions first. And I will have a quick look at This is again in Polish, so let's see now. I was looking at the turn sequence here. Somewhere it should be here. Yeah, so we have artillery first. Artillery, movement, and battle, I believe. Yeah, that's how it goes. But we only have light artillery in this game on both sides. Both sides have 3 batteries in the game, and light artillery only have a 3 hex range, so they cannot battle. But I will for sure bring the the artillery forward as the battle goes on. All right, so let's just start then. And I think I will start with the center of the Swedes. I'm gonna, as I said, go very aggressive forward. I will not reach the enemy with the infantry yet this turn, but maybe we could charge in with the cav. Or maybe we should move up 1 turn and then attack. Yeah, let's do that. 1, 2, 3. They cannot go up here, it costs 1 extra movement point. This would be 2 and 3. Maybe we should just keep the line. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, and 3. Still out of range of the Saxon artillery here. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. And these guys then. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 actually. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This is light cavalry, so they can go 8. Let's continue from here. 2, 3. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna go a bit more forward on this flank. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Something like that. Then we have the second line. We will move them up as well. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is cav. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Something like that. Now we have a nice upcoming line here. We are out of range of the artillery. We are also out of range of any counterattacks of the allied cav here. I think that was all movement. By the way, yeah, we are on turn 11 or 1 and no battles. So it's the Saxon, Russian, Polish turn here. As I said, the artillery phase will be pretty nothing because we are not in range yet. So we're just gonna put up our troops on the edge here, giving us some edge when these guys try to attack us. On the flank we could perhaps charge already. We'll see. Let's bring these guys 1 step forward. Now actually they come in range here. We have artillery can do defensive fire, and they can do it even if they have moved. So we're gonna see a Swedish defensive fire here up on towards the hill. I think the hill does a -1 on the artillery fire as well. So we have light artillery. We have them in 2 strength or strength 2. So we are in this table, and this is printed wrong. It should say 1, 2, 3 in range here. So we are in a 3 range. So we are here and -1. So we need to roll a 10 to get the hit. We didn't, so that's a miss. So these guys have now fired on their 3 range. So we put this 3 range marker on them. They cannot fire anymore at any enemy on 3 range. 2 or 1 actually. 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1. These guys stays. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have some reserves on this flank as well. Now, these guys then, I don't think I even bother to move them. They will just stay and be ready to receive the attack. Here we might want to, I'm also thinking of attacking those light cav of the Swedes. They're trying to crush their right-hand flank already. Or should we wait? Maybe we should wait. Let's move these guys forward. They move on road, and cavalry on road only pays a half, so that would be 1.5. Let's make sure we don't have a gap. So 1, 2, 3. We can get these guys over the river, I believe. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I believe river is +1. I think it's this Strumian thing, so it's 1 for both infantry and cavalry. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The dragoons here. I think I keep them here. We can put August on one of the dragoon units to keep him a bit safer. And that's it, I believe. No other fire happening, so we are done with turn 1 actually. Turn 2 will be a bit more intense, I'm sure. So let's move to turn 2. We still have the Swedes in... they have the initiative through the game. So we go to the artillery phase. We have still this guy who can fire, so you're going to do that again. So that's, yeah, same thing as last time. We need a 10. That's an 8, so that's a miss. Let's just check the table. Here we go. 8. Normally that would be a hit. No, it's a 3 hex range. So it would be, even if they were firing on a playing ground, it would be a miss. So no hit there. Okay, then we have the Swedish movement phase coming up. Now things start happening, I believe. So let's see where we want to charge. We're going to go here. Now we can trigger a counter charge, and I think we'll do that. So as these Volocks are moving forward, Bruzhovsky's unit attacks. And if you do a counter charge, you do the attack all directly. So these units have no fire capability. Fire capability are units that have a star. As you can see, some of them have a star. They are dragoons or infantry, not pikemen though. We have some Swedish pikemen like this guy. They don't have fire capability even though it's infantry. You can also see some really elite Russian troops here, like this Ingerman Lansky unit here, they have 2 stars. It means they can fire twice. So really deadly. But no fire combat here, so we go directly into the close combat, and we are on even odds, 2 strength points against 2 strength points. And the morale is even, 7 to 7, so there's no modifications here, not terrain, they're on the same level and all that, so a straight 1 to 1. And we rolled a 6. That's a no effect. But what we did was efficiently to stop these guys from advancing. So we take the next one, and we'll do the next thing. It's the same thing. 6, that's also a no effect. Now we come to more, dragoons. Some German dragoons here, Brem it says, I think it's Bremish. So, or we can move these guys up as well, or maybe we'll leave them 1 hex back, so these guys have some better retreat paths. So these guys will now start attacking. Now we have a problem. Do we want to countercharge? These guys will fire at us, and then they will attack us with 1 more morale. So we will attack at a bit lesser good odds here. So maybe... No, I will not countercharge. Let's draw these Swedes forward. So the Swedes go 1 hex more, and that's it. We don't have any countercharge. These guys then, they will try to attack the Russians here. So 1, I think these guys could countercharge now. We have a problem. We have Krasow here, who's good leader. He will influence the battle actually. But we have the numbers as on the allied side, so we're gonna do it. Let's do a countercharge. So we're gonna first have both sides have a fire combat to do, since we have a star on the tokens. So the Russians starts firing. This is cavalry, so they have carbines, so they will fire on this table. The strength is 2. So let's see, and no terrain modifiers. That's an 8. Strength 2 and 8. It's actually 1 hit. So we flip this counter, and we check the leader. If you roll a double 6, he's a casualty. Nope. Now these guys can fire back, and they will the fire is simultaneous, so they will fire with 2 strength as well. But that's for sure miss. It's a 3. Yeah. So good Russian fire. And the Russians also need to attack now, since it was a counter charge. But now they have 2 to 1 in odds. So that's 2 to 1. But Krasow, you see this little 1 number here on the lower right. It means he moves the column now, the battle table 1 in the Swedish favor. So it's still a 1 to 1, and there's no other modifiers here. It's the same morale with the dragoons here. So it's a 1 against 1 attack. That's a 5. Here we have something, I believe. Okay, 5 is B1, meaning the Swedes need to retreat 1 hex. So they retreat. Normally you also check if they get dispersed or scattered by the retreat, but as you have a leader with them, they will not. And these guys actually needs to gain ground, so they will take that hex now. And they can do 1 shift also in what is called facing change here if they want. Okay, then I will just move these guys 1. That's the Swiss battalion of the Swedes. They will go down. They will get ready to fire on those guys in the combat phase. Now we have some cavalry proper. As you can see, they have a bit better morale, but no fire capability. This is, go in with the wedge formation and attack with cold steel. But it's a bit intimidating to see this great line here. So I wonder how we should do it. I think these guys might not countercharge. They want to take advantage of on the ridge they are on here. So we need to attack, I believe. These guys fire twice. That's not nice at all. 1, 2. Here we could get counter charge and actually buy both these. So that will be 2 to 1 if we do it. But then it's 1 to 1 because of the terrain, and actually 1 against 2 because of the morale there. But we get 3 fires. So we could actually fire these guys, making them die before the battle. Now I'm gonna keep my ridge here, so I let the Swedes come upon me here. These guys will come too. 1, 2. Okay, let's see. 1, 2. Here the artillery can fire actually on 3 hex range. Let's see. Oh, good roll. Let me see now. It's actually on the same level, so it's not uphill. So at 10. Oh, that's a hit. Good Russian fire there. Boom. So we have fire now on the 3 hex range. These guys now will take it a bit easy. So I went 1, I believe, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna keep the line there. I don't dare to go here now with the 1 strength unit. That was bad. These infantry go 1, 2. Now we have enemies on the 2 hex range. We can fire again with the lights. Artillery here. That's a 6 on 2 hex range. That's a miss. So we have fired on 3 and 2 hex range. And I went 2 hex. I could go 1 more if I wanted, but I don't want to do that. So let's see now. This is tough. Here's a lot of infantry. So let's go in with the infantry. 1. Now we get another fire from this artillery piece. Russian artillery fires again. Here we have a 6. I think that's a miss, even it's 2 hex range. Yep. So also these guys have fire on 2 hex range. And then they move in. So we have now these guys cannot fire. They can only fire in the first hex, on the frontal hex first. So no fire on the 1 hex range. But these guys will now move up as well. 1, 2, artillery with them. And now we got to fire on 1 hex range. Well, we could also do a counter charge here, but I'll stay on my hill. Let's do artillery. Let's do the work with them. So that's a 6. So bad for the Russians. They missed again, even on 1 hex range. So these guys will now attack there. Then we have these guys. No artillery fire and no counter charge. Here we're gonna attack. 1, 2. No count. Hold on. Here we're gonna fire with that 1, 2, 3. 3 hex range with that Saxon artillery. And that's a 10. I believe that might be a hit then. Here we go. 2 strength. And 3 hexes away, and we rolled a 10. Yep, that's a -1. So these guys actually take a hit from the artillery fire. Boom. So now I might not want to go that extra step. Here we go. 1, 2. Now we fire on 2 hex range. 6. So no, that's a miss. And 3. And we fire on the 1 hex range as well. That's a 9. Artillery. hex range, a 9 is an R, meaning one hit and also they get dispersed. Okay, so these guys actually got dispersed, and we need to take one hit, either on the artillery or the these guys, who is the... I think actually maybe artillery are eliminated. I'm gonna play it like that. They cannot really run away. So these guys take the hit, and then they got dispersed here. That's actually the French Grenadiers. Okay, so these guys have now fire on all possible ranges, also on 1 range and on 2 range. Okay, that's tough. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1. Here we actually countercharge. So no fire and 1-to-1 in battle. 6, that was the famous no effect. 1, 2. Countercharge from here. 1, 2. I'm not sure I can do that actually. I need to do it with these guys. Hurrah! These guys don't give any extra ICCs at a 0, so Sieniewski will not inflict the battle. So it's a straight 1-to-1 here as well. Oh, that's a 3. That actually... Hold on now. This is a hit and a retreat. So they take a hit and they need to go back 1. These guys will gain ground, and now we need the morale check on those guys. So we have a 7 morale, and they retreated 1 hex. Piechota is infantry, so we're gonna check here morale. So if we roll a 1, they will get dispersed. Yeah, of course we did. So they end up here. So these guys will then attack instead. These guys cannot do another charge. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I'm a bit concerned about the flank here. So let's take these guys 1, 2, 3, 4. Infantry 1, 2. Let's leave them there. 1, 1, 2 points, 1 point, and 1 point. That's it, I believe. Okay, so it has started a bit harsh for the Swedes because of the enemy artillery fire mostly, right? But that's how it is if you attack against batteries. Okay. Let's bring these back, and now we go to the combat phase. Let's start from this flank. So here we have a combat. So these guys will fire battle against those. Here we have a battle. These two will attack here. These guys are in a bad position. They need to attack both these guys now, I realized. So maybe it's bad that these guys got shot. These guys will have a hard task. These guys will attack here, 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 and here. Okay, that's the attacks. Just wanted to check if we have any special cases where we need to attack several units, and we have one of those here actually. These maybe rode a bit too far, but let's see how they fare. So here we go first. 1 against 1 and no preliminary fire. That's a 9 on the 1-1. So attacker needs to retreat 1. Boom. These gain ground. We have a 80 morale in morale, so that's not needed to do a morale check on those guys, luckily. Then we have the next attack. Same thing, 1 against 1. Another 9. Yeah, a 1. We retreat. These guys pressing this Polish on the Sapieha backwards. Here we have some preliminary fire to do from the Swedes. 2 strength points. That's a 5, that's for sure a miss. Yep. And then the attack. It's 1-1, but they have 1 extra in morale, so it's a 2-1 attack for the Swedes. Oh, and they roll bad. So they take a hit and need to retreat 1 hex. 1 hit, and then they retreat. They actually need to retreat here because that's in the zone of control of the enemy, so they need to go here. So it's a 7 and... yeah, we need to check the morale there. A 1 and they are dispersed. No. So it's going really good for the alliance here. Here then we have some fire to do. First a cavalry fire for 1 point. That's a 7. Miss. Then we're gonna fire with the infantry, the Swiss guys. 2 strength on the infantry fire table. It's a bit better table. 2 points. But we roll really bad for the Swedes now. It's a 6 and 2 points. No, we are here actually. 6 and 2 points is a miss still. Okay, bad rolls there. So what do we have here? We have 3 points on for the Swedes against 2. That's not enough for 2-1, so it's 1-1. But Krasow here. Actually, these guys will fire back first. 2 points. And they fire against the cavalry, let's say. That's a 10. 2 points and a 10. Cavalry. And they, of course, hit. So this cavalry got eliminated. It's going really bad for the Swedes. And we need to check Krasow if he's survived. Yeah, he did. So he will instead relocate to that Swiss foot battalion. So it's 2-2. And then we have Krasow making it 2-1, sorry, 2-1. And a 9, then they roll bad again. Let's see, 2-1 and a 9 means actually both sides take a hit. But no retreats. And I think we need to check Krasow once more for a leader loss check. He's good. Okay, it's going really downwards for the Swedes already. Then we have a difficult battle for the Swedes. They are attacking here. These guys will fire once with 4 points. Let's do that first. That's 7. Cavalry here, 4 points and a 7. That's a hit. And then these guys can fire once more with a 2-point attack. That's a 6. That's a miss though. Yeah. So now these guys need to attack 1 against 4 and 1 against 5 because it's uphill. But it goes down to 1 against 4 again since we have a 9 in morale. So 1 towards 4. It's the least good column there in the battle table. And we rolled an 8, meaning A2. We need to retreat 2 hexes with these guys. 1 and 2. And it's a 9 in morale. 2 hexes. Yeah, it can be dispersed on a 1. No. Hold on. I could retreat 1, 2 and stack here because we have another 1-point unit. 2 1-point units can stack. So we bring up these to 2 strength again. So these guys will now actually follow. So that's that attack. Then we have attack here. We have infantry firing upwards, getting -1 on the roll. But it's 2 points on the infantry table. We got the 7 that goes down to 6. 2 points. Sorry, here we go. 2 points, 6. It's a miss. Then these guys fire back twice. 2 points firing. That's a miss. And 2 points firing 10. Yeah, hit. Okay, so now these guys need to attack. They have to attack. This is mandatory. So it's 1 to 2 and uphill 1 to 3. And morale is the same. 6 on the 1 against 3 table is A1. These guys are pushed back and followed by these. I don't think we need to do a morale check. No. Then we have a battle here. I think artillery can count as 1 strength point in close combat. So let's see now. We don't have any fire from the Swedes. Artillery will not fire in the close combat phase. But we have Moscow dragoons here who will fire twice with 2. Oh, that's an 11. Oh man, that's so good for the... Okay, it's a dispersed result again. So these guys will get hit and dispersed. And we lose the artillery. And I think we actually do the second fire as well. But that's a miss. So another failed Swedish attack uphill. Let's see here then. Another infantry fire coming in first. But we are firing uphill, so -1. That's an 11. 2 strength points, 11 goes down to a 10. It would have been dispersed, but since we are uphill, it only gets to -1. So at last we got a Swedish hit as well on the Russians. But they will fire back. The carbines downhill, 7 points. Cavalry 2 points, 7, miss. So here we might have a chance. So it's 2 to 1. But then it's uphill, 1 to 1. Let's see if we can press up on that hill. That's a good roll actually. So 1 to 1 and a 4. B1, we are pressing these guys backwards. And a 7 morale doing a retreat might get dispersed by a 1. Nope. So we had the first Swedes now coming up the hill and actually didn't even take a hit. So the Pomerian infantry going up here. Then we have Horn's attack with some... Here's the cavalry propets. We don't have any carbine or pistol fire happening here before the combat. So we have 2 points against 2 points. We have the same morale, 9. But we're attacking uphill. But we have Horn with us that inflicts 1 in our favor as the Swedes. So it's a straight 1-to-1 battle. But we rolled bad for the Swedes again. And 11 means A1 and dispersed. But since we have a leader with us, we don't get dispersed. Unless he's a casualty. He isn't. So we need to go back 1 hex. We got pushed back. And these guys need to follow. So no battles here. Here we have another battle. We have Swedish fire coming in, 2 points, cavalry fire, that's a miss. And then we attack 2 against 2, that's 1-1. But we have a lesser morale for the Swedes, so it's 1 to 2, and then it's uphill, so 1 to 3. And 11. Oh my. That's an A3, we need to retreat 3 hexes with the Swedes, that's crazy. 1, 2, 3. These guys will follow, 1, 2, 3, and now we're gonna see if these guys scatter. Morale is 8, and we get back 3 hexes, so a 1 or 2 and we are dispersed. Yeah. Here then. Swedish fire first. Miss. So we have 1 to 1 in strength, but 1 to 2 because of morale, 1 to 3 because of uphill, but 1 to 2 thanks to Marshal giving us some boost in the battle. So 1 against 2. And we rolled a 5. Both sides take a hit. And we'll check the Swedish leader. He's good. So no progress uphill here. Here we have another attack. Swedish carbine fire first. Miss. So we have 1-1, but 2-1 thanks to morale for the Swedes. 9. 1-1. Both sides take a hit. So heavy casualties here on the coalition left flank, Swedish right flank. Here we have a straight 1-1 battle, no fire, with the light cavalry. 6. That I think that was a no effect. Yeah, no effect here. And the last battle, more of these light cavalry fighting both with a leader, but none of the leaders inflict any column shifts. So it's a straight 1-1 here as well. Oh, 3. That's actually pretty good. The coalitionists take a hit and also do a B1, so that's one retreat. So they take a hit and are pushed back. And then we also need to check if that leader took a hit. He didn't. So a bit of a pushback there. And yeah, this is kind of crazy. It was really deadly. We have 3 Swedish dead units, and we have lots more in the scattered track here. None for the coalition side. A few hits here and there, but all in all, the Swedish has taken really heavy hits here. But we'll see. I think we have, at one place, we managed to get up the hill. In a few places, we got bounced back, but the Russians and the Saxons have actually, pursued us down the hill. So we might get them in some flanking attacks. But it's the Saxons or the coalitions that go next. So we're probably gonna see some heavy fighting already down the hill now. So yeah, that was the Swedish turn 1. Let's go to the Saxon turn 1. Okay, so for the coalition turn 2, we don't have any dispersed units to get back, but we have some artillery fire to do in the artillery phase. So let's see where we should put the fire. Here we have 1 battery. We could fire at that full strength unit there, or we could help these guys out a bit with trying to fire at that guy and getting that away. Let's do that. 2 points against that Northern Scania cavalry unit there. That's a 7. Let me see now. 3 hex range. That's a miss. Too bad. Here then, again, we could help out a bit. No, we cannot fire because we have a unit adjacent to us, and if we do that, we can only fire in adjacent hexes. But since that is blocked, or rather, we can only fire into this hex. This cannot actually fire right now. This guy can. And again, I think we want to help out a bit. Maybe these guys could use some help. So let's fire straight over the not the ridge, but the area between it. I mean, it's the same level basically here, so there's no minus or anything. It's a 2 hex range. It's a bit of better chance to hit. It's a 7 again, and that's a hit. So the Swedes can opt to take it on the artillery or the infantry. I take it on the artillery actually. And that's all artillery fire. So then we go to movement phase. Okay, so I think we might get a good hit on these guys from 2 directions, which would give us another extra boost in a battle. Let's see if we can get this guy. So that would be, let me see now, down slope plus a stream, and that clear terrain is 3 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then these guys, they are not in sock, so they can move. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You can attack here now. Yeah. Here then. Okay, these guys took a hit, so we might... The thing is, if we back off, they can charge us. So let's... oh. Ah, he's in socks, so he cannot actually countercharge us. So we can back off here. I think you can go 1 hex backwards, and then you have used all your movement points. Instead, we move in a fresh unit into the battle here. Here then, a lot of units. Let's see now. Let's start with charging down a bit here. 1, 2, 3, 2. Let's bring in some of the reserves now to help out a bit here, and also to get some protecting the artillery here. So I will engage some of my reserve cavalry now. So let's take this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Each just takes that position. Milkau, one of the Milkau units will go 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. I will just move up my reserves a bit. I will keep August a bit back still. Okay, that's good. So we have a full attack going on there. I think we're good here as well. Do we need to commit any more reserves here? I think we need some more power in these attacks. Or we're gonna go down. So we're gonna detach Nevsky and Ingermanlandsky into these battles. I move up some of the units from our reserve line towards the front. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. I mean, the Swedish are getting a bit thin, and we have just started committing the second line of the coalition, so it looks a bit tough for the Swedes. Here then, those guys needs help in this battle, so I'm gonna move in this guy, Troishiki, something like that. 1, 2, 3, and we keep one guy in reserve. Here we're gonna help out a bit. 1, 2, and 3. I think that's all the movement we need to do. So for some battles then, let's start from this flank. Let's start on the very edge. Let's see just how we're gonna commit. These guys will fight here. These against these. Here 1 against 1. Here we have 2 against 1. Here we're gonna attack straight 1-to-1 attacks. Same here. Here we can have 2 on those guys and 2 on those guys. Here we have 2 on that guy. Here we're gonna attack 1 against 1. Okay, that's good enough. So start here. So the only rifle fire we're gonna do is the Swedes firing the carbines against Smigelski's cavalry who came from the flank. 2 points. And we rolled pretty good there. Let's see, cavalry 2 points, and we rolled an 11. That's actually a hit and dispersed. That changed this a bit. These guys still need to attack, but you know what? They are attacking in the rear. So let's see now. We have 2-to-2 in strength points, so it's 1-to-1. Then we have a morale boost. No, sorry. If you attack in the rear, these guys only defend with 1 point, so it's 2-to-1 already. Then we have 3-to-1 thanks to the morale, and 4-to-1 for the rear attack. And we roll a 4 in 4-to-1. That's a B2. These guys need to retreat 2 hexes. They can actually do that. This is not in SOC. 1, 2. And the 7-point unit retreating 2 will disperse on a roll of 1-to-2. No, they're good. And these guys will take ground. They can do a free facing change. So they will face against those guys who retreated. Okay, then we have a battle going on here. We have now an even odds and no preliminary fire to do. Just a 1 against 1. And we rolled a 10. That would be... ouch. That was bad for the coalition. That guy takes a hit and needs to retreat 1 hex. He can retreat safely into this, where they're leaders. We don't need to check the morale of that guy. But these guys push forward now. Same thing here, 1 to 1. And we have a 7. Both sides take a hit. A lot of hits on these Polish units here on the flanks. Another 1 against 1 with single points. Actually, we have 1 Swedish fire to do first with 1 point. And that's a 7. That's for sure a miss. 1 point and a 7 is a miss, yeah. But we are attacking 1 against 2 because we have a better morale here with the dragoons of the Swedes. So 1 against 2. Should we commit these guys instead into that battle and only battle here? Yeah, let's do that. So these guys have actually better morale. So let's see now. Let's count this again. 2 points against 1. It's 2 to 1. And then we actually have the morale boost, so it's 3 to 1. And we roll a 7. B1. So these guys need to retreat 1 hex. They cannot, they suck everywhere. So we're gonna remove that. So these guys will now need to take that ground. Then we have a battle here, where both sides may fire. First we fire with 2 points with the Milkow Dragoons. 7. 2 points, a miss. Then we fire 1 point uphill with the Swedes. That's a 9. That's a miss. And then we charge. So strength points, 2 against 1. Same morale, but we have this marshal leader here, so he's doing it. He's fixing it back to 1 to 1. And we roll a 12. That's a disaster for the Saxons. 1 to 1 and a 12, a hit and a retreat of 1 hex. So these guys need to retreat 1 hex, but it's an 8 morale, so they don't need to do a morale check. But these guys actually are gaining ground now. But they're in a dangerous situation here with more of these dragoons here coming in. But good effort by the Swedes there. But they need help. So for the Swedes' sake, they hope these battles go good for them, because then they might get up some help here. Because we're starting to see some gaps in the line, so we can get up to the higher ground with a bit of luck if we can push these guys away. So let's see. Boist cuirassier, I think these are cuirassiers. They will attack here. That's... oh, we have a fire to do first. This Niemiecki or something like that, they will fire. Infantry fire, 2 strength points, and we rolled a 9. That's a hit. So maybe going a bit better for the Swedes now. So now suddenly we only have 1 point in the charge. So it's 1. Okay, so, oh, I hope I didn't do this wrong at any place, but when you attack with cavalry against sole infantry, you get double up your cavalry strength. So this is actually worth 2 strength in the attack. So it's 1 to 1, and then we have a morale boost 2 to 1. So 2 to 1 for the Saxons. And we roll a 6. That is a B1. So the Swedes needs to go back 1 hex. It's an 8 morale, so we don't need to do a morale check. And these guys follow. Here we have a plain cavalry fight, no firing. But we have a 2 strength against a 1 strength, so it's 2 to 1. And a 6, I think that's the same thing, right? Yep. So these guys, actually the Swedes are now pushed back. These guys would have needed some support now, but the Swedes are getting farther and farther away. We have one more here. Okay, so that's a bit of a different situation. We have 2 against 2, same morale, but we have Horn here. So we have actually a bad odds for the Saxons here. It's 1 against 2. We need to roll good. And we rolled pretty bad, an 8. That would be a hit, and the attacker needs to retreat. That's a hit. We can retreat here, which is not in the zone of control of an enemy. We don't need to check any morale check. But here we get a Swedish unit advancing, actually. Interesting. Here then, we have some fire to do first. We have actually 2 units that will attack. So the artillery cannot fire. But we will actually have 1 attack with 3 strength. That's a 7. Cavalry, 3 strength, 7, miss. Then these guys will fire alone once more. And that's 2 points. A 7, that's also a miss then. So no fire success there. The Swedes will fire back. That's infantry fire. And I will fire at this stronger unit here. That's a 7 on infantry fire. Is it uphill? No, they are on the same level. That's good for the Swedes. So infantry 2 points. We roll a 7. Oh, just a miss. Too bad. Then we have the charge. Remember, cavalry is doubled. We have the same morale, so nothing there, but we have 6 points against 2. So it's 2 to 1. No, 3 to 1, right? 6 points against 2, yeah. 3 to 1, and that's it. 4, pretty good roll. 4 on a 3 to 1 is B2. These guys need to retreat 2 hexes back, so they run all the way back to the second line. And we need to do a morale check, I believe. It's infantry to, yeah, on a 1 they will get dispersed. No. So someone from here needs to follow. Do we dare to leave our artillery alone? I don't think so. So we need to actually get these guys. 1, 2. They will follow. The Smolensk cavalry there. Okay, more battles. We have one here. Petersburg Dragoons firing twice. First fire is an 8. 2 points of worth. Nothing. Second fire, we need a 9. Nope. So the Pomorsky infantry battalion will fire back with 1 point. Rolling a 7. Miss. So then we have the charge. We double these. It's 4 to 1 and no other modifiers. 6 on a 4 to 1. Okay, they lose a step and they would retreat 2. But this is the last step of these guys. So they are dead. And these guys gain ground. Oh my, the Russians are breaking through now. Here we have a more difficult attack to do. But let's see how it goes. We'll fire twice with the cavalry. It's uphill though. First fire is a 9. It's 2 points of worth. That would be a hit, but since they are firing uphill, it's a miss. They need to get a 10. Second fire, miss. These guys will now fire back down. 2 points of infantry fire. That's an 8. That's a hit. So the Nevsky takes a hit. Then they charge. And this is not only infantry, so we won't get the double here. So this is actually 1 against 3 and 1 against 4 because it's uphill. Oh, that was worse than I thought. And we rolled bad also. 10. A hit. And then they will need to retreat. But this is the first eliminated unit of the Russians, or the coalition, actually. So these guys will now actually advance. Artillery cannot advance. So the Pomorsky is rushing down. We have a battle here with 2 units that can attack. So let's see now. No fire from the Swedes, but these guys will fire twice. First with a 4 strength, but they got the -1 because it's uphill. That's a miss. Then a fire with the 2. That's rounded down to a 7 because of the uphill. So it's a miss also. And then they attack. Okay, so it's cavalry against cavalry. But we have better morale as the Swedes. So it's 4 points against 2. That's 2 to 1. But it's 1 to 1 due to morale. And 1 to 2 because we are also attacking uphill. Let's see now, did I count that correctly? 2 to 1 odds. Well, these guys are on the same level. I think though you always count the best for the defender. So hold on. Okay, my phone rings, just a sec. Okay, back at it again. I need to recalculate this. 4 points against 2. That's 2 to 1. It's 1 to 1 because we have a better morale for the Swedes. Then we have a 1 to 2 because we have units attacking uphill. 10. A hit on the Russians and they need to retreat. Okay, so let's take this for the hit. Oops, hold on. We don't have that many places to retreat actually. It's only 1 hex retreat, you know, and we cannot overstack. So if we retreat with these guys, we take a hit with these guys and then they need to retreat, there's no place. So this is also a casualty. The Biology or something like that. Maybe it's a white Russian dragoons. So these guys will now gain ground and they will take this ground here. So that was a bit of a bad thing for the Russians there. We have another attack here for the Russians. What do we have here? It's the Funk's infantry, but the dragoons fire first. That's 3 points of cavalry fire coming in. 6, that's a miss, I believe. Yep. Then Funks will fire back. Let's fire against the full strength unit. That's an 8 for a 1 point. That's a miss. So then we attack. So we have 3 points doubled since we are attacking so only infantry. So it's 6 points against 1. It's 6 to 1. No morale differences, but we have Krasow here, so it's down to 5 to 1. Good odds. But we rolled a catastrophic roll. 5 to 1 and a 12 means both sides take a hit. Oh. But Funks is eliminated. And let's take a hit here. Yeah. Let's check if Krasow survived that battle. He did, barely. So he needs now to relocate somewhere. He goes to this unit here. And these guys gain ground. Okay, we still have a few battles to do over on the Polish guys here on the right-hand flank of the coalition. We want to attack here first because if we get these guys to retreat, they're eliminated because there's no places for them to go. So let's see now. These guys will do fire first. So I fire against these guys. 1 point of cavalry fire. That's 7. That's not enough, I'm sure. True. So let's see now. We have 4 against 1. And these guys have better morale, so it's 3 to 1. Oh, another double 6. 3 to 1. The attackers need to retreat, actually. Oh. They need to go to the rear hexes, but we can go like this and to survive. And these guys will actually gain ground, so they will take this ground. That was not too good. And I think we need to check morale check for these as well. Yeah, since they are 7 morale units, we need to check both. So first this one and then this. If you roll a 1, they are dispersed. Nothing there. And oh, these guys were dispersed. Suddenly a hole appeared in the line. We have 2 more attacks to do. So here we have a plain 1-to-1, no fire. 6, I think that's a no effect, yep. And on the far right, the last attack of this turn. And there we rolled a bit better, as the coalition 3 on the 1-to-1 table is really good actually. It's a hit and the retreat. So we take a hit, then retreat with those guys and we charge in. So that's the end of turn 2. And it's a complete chaos here, as it should be, since it's a cavalry battle, right? So we have guys everywhere, but you know, we still haven't really committed or all the reserves for these guys. Okay, the Swedes still have a second line of fresh units, so they can probably do some good hits on the tired Russians and the Saxons who have pushed through the line. So maybe this could be a bit exciting anyway. We will though see, we can do that right away. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the dead pile here. So we would move these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 steps. But then we have 2 here, so we move that back 1, 2. But still, as you can see now, from now on the coalition will get 1 extra morale column shift when they attack, since the morale bonus. So now we put these to the permanent losses. We also will see in the next turn 2 of these units coming back to play for the Swedish side. So that's good for them. We'll see which units we will put up there. I think, yeah, I have a plan. But let's see how it goes. And yeah, we are now ready for turn 3, and we're gonna go with the Swedes first. And it's their artillery phase. Let's see how that goes. So, thanks guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. I am enjoying it so far. Really intense battles, a lot of back and forth happening. But I think this will be a long video, but we'll see how long this game will be, how many parts it will be. Probably 2 or 3 at least. Okay guys, see you next time. Bye for now.